Hello, we are live a little late, 1 minute late. That's the first time we've ever been late, I think. This is Kris and Hannah with Ever New, which is about living out loud, forging lasting connections, and visiting with effervescent thinkers and dreamers. It's an uplifting hour or more that promises to leave everyone feeling better. So let's get this party started. Hi, Hannah.
Hey, Kris.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I have a text from you here because we're going to do something in a minute. So I'm going to pull it up here. Ooh, I think I can read that. Let me see if I can expand it a little bit. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that works. Okay. Okay. Let's start with Joyride.
You want to go first?
My joyride is that my month from hell has gone bye-bye. You know, I lost a friend, as you know, and I was helping his wife move, and we finally got everything moved from his place to her place. And I've actually had a few days where I didn't have to schlep things. So all of my bruises have disappeared from lifting heavy boxes, and I'm beginning to feel human again. But oh my gosh, I was beginning to feel my age after about 4 weeks of schlepping boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff.
Age is a thing of the mind.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. I was amazed at how much I was able to do still at age 71 without too many, but it's wearying because I'm not used to being that physically active all the time. Not that kind of physically active. I'm used to walking and doing stuff like that, but not schlepping boxes and lifting furniture and stuff like that. So
yeah, I get it.
That's my joyride. I just got finished with that. And our John is here. Tina's here from Russia.
Hey, Tina.
Hey, Tina.
Or Tina, whichever.
Come on.
Which do you prefer? Do you like Tia or Tina?
Yeah, she's got Tina up here. So Tia or Tina, it doesn't matter. She's Tia, if you want to join us, let me see. Let me find that little thingy. I will put that banner up. Actually, if anybody who's watching wants to join us, we will take that. We will take that risk. So far, everybody I know who's on it would be awesome on this show.
We need more people.
For a minute, I thought Hannah looked like Dr. Crusher. You were right. When I first came on with you a little bit earlier, I thought, my gosh, you remind me of somebody, and that's exactly who it was. Yep. Hi, Kris and Hannah. That's Jano.
Hey, Jano.
And that is
that Roger?
I think that's Roger. Yeah. I believe is that my invite thing? Let me see. Yes, it is. That's my invite. If you guys want to come on as a co-host, Cookie Sword.
Hey, Cookie Sword.
I know Ross isn't with us today because he has a fundraiser, so he's not with us. Obviously, you're channeling G's strength. There you go.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's our fan from Austria.
I've been thinking about, this is going to sound really weird, but I've been thinking about like de-strength a lot lately because I was looking at a Dr. McCoy compilation or something, and it was the episode where everyone gets high on spores. And that one guy makes McCoy mad by telling him he basically can't be a doctor anymore. And he just stands up. Would you like to see just how fast I could put you in a hospital? Like, I feel like he could put someone in a hospital if he wanted to. He
just channeled his rowdy cowboy there.
No, I mean, I feel like D himself.
Oh, he was so strong. He was so strong. I think I already told the story. Tina won't be joining us today. Okay, she'll be listening now.
That's okay.
Shatner, as you know, was Jewish, and when he bought a new place, he had a big old cement plaster statue of St. Francis that stood at least, I'm trying to think, I've seen it, maybe 3.5, 4 feet tall. It had to weigh easily a couple hundred pounds. And anyhow, he called up Dee and he said, you want this St. Francis statue. Absolutely. You know, but Carol and I are both animal nuts, and St. Francis is patron saint of animals. We put it in our backyard with Myrtle and, you know, our backyard wildies. So he went over to pick it up, and he was like, Shatner was like, I think you ought to hire somebody to do that. That is one heavy piece of whatever. And he, oh no, I can get it. I can get it. And he picked that thing up and carried it to his car. And he told me about that later. And I just tried rocking it. And I went, oh my God, Dee, you know? And he was like, yeah, I used to be pretty strong. And I said, good Lord, you know, like, forget the crane. I can handle it. You know, he was really, and there were a few times we play wrestled, meaning like we would put our shoulders against each other and like push each other, you know, arm jostling. And he was super, super strong. I grew up on a ranch and I am strong, but he was, you know, I wonder if he was a wrestler in high school.
I know he played football and I believe baseball.
Yeah, but he was very, very strong. Anywho. So, oh no, Tina's ill.
Oh, feel better.
Feel better.
I'm sorry.
I hope it's not COVID.
Yeah.
John says I couldn't lift something like that. Oh, maybe
either.
Back in the day, but yeah, I couldn't, not anymore. No, I could never have lifted 200 pounds. Oh, there was one time do you remember when The Strongest Man in the World came out with Kurt Russell? No, you don't. You weren't even born yet, Hannah. But there was a movie that came out with Kurt Russell called The Strongest Man in the World. And I was in Blythe, California at the time, working with my dad in construction. And there was a Strongest Man and Woman in Blythe contest to help tout the movie. And I went over there. Dad said, why don't you go over there? He said, you're probably the strongest woman in Blythe, because I'd grown up on a ranch baling hay and the whole 9 yards. And I was working in construction at the time. So I went over there and I said, I want to lift the weights. And they said, well, how much do you think you can lift? And I said, let's start with 75 pounds. And he looked at me and he goes, are you kidding me? And he said, how about 25? I said, no. He said, how about 35? He wouldn't let me lift anything to start other than like 35 or 40 pounds. And I said, okay, well, let me do it. Okay, I did it. Now can I lift more? Well, after I lifted about 4 or 5 of those at 10 different increments, it was like, okay, I'm getting tired now, because I went from 40 to 50 to 60 to 75, and I was getting a little tired. And I said, can I come back and do this again tomorrow from the get-go, with what I think I can lift? And he said, sure. So I came back and he said, what do you want to try? I said, I want to try 125 pounds. And he goes, 125 pounds? I said, yeah, I want to try 125 pounds. So he loads it all up, and I didn't have a belt on. I didn't have any kind of anything at all. And I reached down and I did that, boom, boom, like that. And he was like, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. And then the guy who won it actually only lifted 225 pounds. And he said he'd been lifting weights for like 2 years, and he was wearing one of those straps so he wouldn't get a hernia, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. He said, I don't think I got to 125 pounds for 6 months. So anyhow, the upshot of all this is my dad had been earlier talking about how strong I was. He said, this is my bull moose daughter. And I said, Dad, please stop introducing me like that. Please don't do that. So I come home with this award and my pictures in the newspaper lifting 125 pounds above my head. And my dad goes, and I'm not supposed to introduce you as my bull moose daughter.
Would you have taken bull moose son?
After I just raked him over the coals for doing something, for saying something, then I go out there and prove him right. Anyhow. So, John, you probably could have in earlier days. So you had You have a joyride, right? Or did you give it?
Oh, yeah, I have a couple just small joyrides.
Okay.
I went over to an antique store the other day and found a new Star Trek trading card. I can add to my small collection.
When you come here, I might give you something to add more to it.
Oh, well, thank you.
In October, yes.
The other one is, I started work this week. A teen theater group. I'm one of the directors, but we finally got done casting. And for those of you who have never cast a show, oh my gosh, it is painstaking. It's horrible.
It's painful.
Oh yeah.
And
it's like a never-ending equation.
Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, well, this person has to be this, or this person cannot be this. Then what do we do with these people? Where can we put these? If we put this person here, how's this gonna all pan out? And we spent about 3 days doing that. And it's not a long work day with these kids. It's 9 to 12, so we spent like 9 hours casting. It was so painful, and we finally got it done. The kids know their parts. So,
do you know? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt. Do you know? Do you tell by casting? Do you have them like try each different roles to see if their chemistry is better?
Yeah, that's called that's called a callback.
Okay.
So for their audition, they had to choose one song of 3. And choose one of 2 monologues. And so basically, for anyone who's not really into theater, what a callback is if we liked your audition, we call you back and try you out for a couple different parts. Like, we'll give you a quick excerpt of a song that, a certain character sings, or give you some dialogue and have you read with other people and see how the chemistry works and see how you fit the character itself. And that by itself takes a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's more pressure or not, because auditions are just in front of the director or in our case directors. Callbacks are in front of everybody, at least in this program.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and it's not like most likely you're not going to call just one person up. You're going to call like a group of people up, to sing a song a couple times or try different combinations with a scene. Like this person's going to read for Jackie. This person's going to read for Max. These aren't characters in the show, but this one's going to read for Joey. And see how that all works out, really.
Chemistry wise.
Yeah, and reading the cast list is always interesting, because that, and it's inevitable, some people are going to be hurt. They're going to get a character that they either didn't want, or they're not going to get a character at all. That's called being an ensemble. But when you are an ensemble, you get a lot of like a small little things to do. You could be an offstage voiceover, or you could be, like a featured student or whatever. So I did see a face fall yesterday when, that was.
Did they get cast in a role they didn't want, or did they not get the role, or didn't
they didn't get the role
at all?
But no, at all. But some people just get really excited, when they when you announce the cast. So it's always a mix of emotions. Some people are just relieved, that they got a role at all.
Right.
There's just so many mixed emotions going around.
Do they get the people who don't make it onto the stage? Do they usually segue to another part of the production, like lighting?
Oh no, everyone gets a speaking role. That's part of the program. Yeah, everyone gets a speaking role. It's just they don't have like a specific character.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So, it's like they're still going to be in the show. It's just we're gonna. When we get to a certain area, where it'll literally say, featured male student or something. Okay, so let's give this line to, let's give it to them,
So, now I'm thinking back when I saw Casey and Jamie doing stuff. They had practically the entire class in a show, but only some of them were in featured roles. Everybody else was ensemble. They were singing along and that kind of thing. So that's what you were doing.
Kind of, yeah. Ensemble is basically a background character.
Okay.
Yeah, but each of them will get, at least one line.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Whether on stage or off, because there actually is like one or two voiceovers. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be back. So that person will be backstage with a microphone or so.
Yeah. John says, I wouldn't want to be a director. Too much pressure for me. That's how Dee was too. Cookie Sword says, I've been in ensemble roles and honestly, they're so much fun to play. But in the auditions I've done, I've been surprisingly calm. In the next life, I would like to be an actor. I hope it will work out in the next life. I think if you want to be an actor, you can be one in this life. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just head in the direction, find out somebody who's doing it and start helping them and build a good rapport with them. And they find out you show up and you're enthusiastic, they'll find something for you. Yeah.
Even if someone said ensemble, that can be very fun. Yeah, I've been ensemble. It was nice. But even if you just get continuously cast as ensemble, you just have to keep going because you'll eventually start to really stick out to these people.
Right.
And, the directors will be like, yeah, this person's been in it a lot before. Like they know what's going on. They know what to expect. They know even other people's lines.
Right.
Yeah, I think we can trust them with, a bigger role.
Do you have backups in case somebody falls ill?
We did do that once or twice. When I went through the program, I was one of those, along with a character that I already was. We're going to be talking about that this upcoming week.
Understudy.
They get weekends off, and therefore so do we. So that's nice. But we're going to be talking about understudies in the upcoming week.
Good. That's cool. Yeah. I know one of Hugh Jackman's understudies, I think he fell ill and trying to think, I could be so off on this, but during one of Hugh Jackman's plays on Broadway, I don't think it was him. I think it was maybe his female co-star fell ill and an understudy came on. And of course, that is really, really stressful.
Oh, yeah.
Come to the theater expecting to see so-and-so in this role, and then it's somebody else. Mm-hmm. And she was so phenomenal. I think you can even find it on YouTube that Hugh Jackman just practically did a soliloquy on her afterward about how tough it was to step into something like that. And that would be really, really hard. It's like saying, we're going to go see DeForest Kelley and you don't get to see DeForest Kelley. I mean, your heart is set on a certain thing and it doesn't happen. And then generally you think, well, that other person isn't going to float my boat. And when they do, it's amazing.
Yeah. I've been in a show where we needed an understudy. Someone passed out on the stage.
Oh.
And found out that they had a thing and couldn't come back. So we had to grab someone who used to be in this program who had aged out and wasn't anymore. So she came in with like a homemade costume and the script. And we just said that, the character likes reading or something.
I went and saw Avenue Q a couple of years ago. And I went several times. It was such a fun show. But during one of the weeks, one or more of the actors got laryngitis.
Oh, no.
And we're talking singing and acting and the whole 9 yards. But what they actually did is they lip synced. They got the understudies to come in and voice the voices, with microphones. And then the people on stage had the puppets.
Yeah.
And they continued to do the thing as if they were doing it, and they lip synced. But that's how they covered. They have understudies who knew the lines and everything. And it was really interesting to watch it both ways. One with the actual actors and the other with because it gave you a huge respect and appreciation for understudies.
Yeah.
How to do something like that.
Mm-hmm. Especially if they're already cast as someone else.
Yes.
Yeah, then they're learning two parts.
Yes. Okay, Cookie Sword says, my school productions always have understudies, but I could never be one. Too much stress for me. Plus, you don't get the practice that the main actor does.
I was very stressed being an understudy, so that it is a lot of stress. It got to the point where I was actually getting dizzy a few times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, Space Dancer, I am about to introduce you to another Austrian.
Ooh.
And I do not know where you both are from in Austria, but if you would let us know, maybe I can. 2 DeForest Kelley fans from Austria. Good evening from Austria. Glad to reach you. There we go. And
Space Dancer.
As a student, I was in the opera's extra choir, the additional one in case they needed more people on stage. I remember being a part of a Carmen production, and it was extremely exciting. So Chrissy, 1988, is new to us. I have IM'd with her. Please meet Space Dancer 1701. And again, I don't know what your actual names are, or if you even want to identify yourself with your actual names. But there you are. Let's find out where you're both from. I want to do a matchmaker, make me a match, find me a find. Yeah, because
I see what you're doing.
You're both DeForest Kelley fans. And I know one of you mentioned, gee, I don't know anybody else here who is one. And I said, you just stick around. We'll find you. So please let us know where in Austria both of you are from. John said, I never tried to do a play or being an actor. Well, are you shy? A lot of shy people. A lot of shy. Dee was shy.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Laurence Olivier later actually threw up before he did a show, and he was one of the top actors of all time.
Okay. I saw an interview with Leonard Nimoy where he said that he would describe himself as shy. This was from the 80s. Uh-huh. And the interviewer asked him why so many shy people, become actors. And he said, because you're not really being yourself. You're hiding behind a character.
Exactly. And that's why I was able to act.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Chrissy is currently Vienna. Vienna. Well, you're obviously close enough to both get to Vienna, right? Actually meet. Wouldn't that be fun? Hey, send me pictures. Send us pictures of who you are, would you? Can you do that? How would you do that here on this? Do you want to come on? You want to come on live with us and talk to each other? Matchmaker, make me a match. Okay, I was always an alto or tenor in senior choirs. Mm-hmm. That's Jano. Yeah, I was soprano. They made me sing soprano because I had a really wide range.
Mm-hmm.
They always needed more sopranos, and they always made me sing soprano, and I did not want to sing soprano. I'm not shocked.
I had to change my range for a role once. I was an alto, but I was cast as a character who needs to be soprano.
Oh, wow. Well, John, you would not forget your lines because you practice.
That is true.
About 400 kilometers north of Carinthia. So that's a little bit of a distance there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a drive.
Yeah, it's a bit of a drive.
You
can meet halfway.
That is true.
Anywho, now you both know somebody from, let me see. If you want, you can IM me your email addresses if you want to get in touch with each other. Email me at Kris with a K, KRIS @wordwhisperer.net. In fact, I'll put that up here so you can see it right there. If you both will email me there, photos if you want to too, and your email addresses, I'll connect you guys. That would be fun.
Oh no.
What?
Space Dancer says, not today, I'm in bed with COVID.
Oh no, feel better. Oh. No, I don't mean today, just sometime.
Sorry.
You just got over COVID.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you sound much better than you did last time.
I'm
sorry. Take good care of yourself. Drink lots of warm liquids. do that, especially if you start to get phlegmy.
Yep.
The warm liquids will help like crazy.
It's true.
Whoa, I'm so sorry to hear that. All right, so we have lots of eyes today. Two from my Facebook page. You want to jump over there, Hannah, and see if anybody's asked any questions?
Sure.
And I will, I'm going to read from my book, DeForest Kelley, The Enduring Legacy of DeForest Kelley, which is up in the corner above Hannah's head there. That's a cover of it. And if you see anything, Hannah, on my Facebook, yeah, right up there, Hannah. Exactly. You looked right at it. If you see anything on my Facebook page that's a question or a comment that we should know about, let me know when I finish this.
Just a couple comments. Gail says hello, and Linda says greetings and hallucinations.
Is that Linda Owen?
Yeah.
Well, Linda, how are ya? She's in Texas. And who's the other one?
There's actually one more now. One of them's Gail. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that last name because I'm just going to butcher it.
Gail?
Yeah. And then the other one is actually my mom. She says, "Hi, Hannah and Kris, I'm here."
All right.
Hi, Mom.
So you should be in another place, but that's okay. What's Gail's last name? Read it to me.
I can spell it.
Okay.
ROCHELEAU.
Oh, I know who that is. Gail. Well, come on here as a...
I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name.
I'm not sure I do. I don't think I've ever tried, so I won't try it here and embarrass myself. Okie dokie. Well, hello, you guys. Thank you for being there. And if you would come in through the Twitch media, TV media link, which is also on my Facebook page, then you can comment direct and I can pop up your comments right up on the screen here like I'm doing here. Space Dancer, 1701, get well soon. I had it twice. Oh, I've had it once and that was enough. Oh, here we go. Okay. Chrissy is your first name? CHRIZZY? Chrissy? That's awesome. Okay. Okay, so I am going to read from the foreword of DeForest Kelley, The Enduring Legacy of DeForest Kelley, actor, healer, and friend. DeForest Kelley was once asked how he would like to be remembered. He responded with a contrite laugh, "Well, you know, sometimes I wonder if they will remember. There's nothing deader than a dead actor. That's almost a question for someone else to answer. I will answer it. Dee's fans have answered it resoundingly over the course of the past decade. Since his passing in 1999, obviously this book is a little older, and at every convention celebrating Star Trek since then. To this day, and far beyond this day, I can predict with confidence, warm memories and thoughts of the actor who brought Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy to life are being held as priceless treasures in the hearts of millions of people, young and old, across the globe. 6 months after losing my mentor and friend Dee, while still floundering in a fog of shock and nearly numb from unexpressed, unrelenting, pervasive grief, I wrote a book called DeForest Kelley, A Harvest of Memories, My Life in Times with a Remarkable Gentleman Actor. As I worked my way through the history of our association, Dee came back to life, and with each passing page, I began to feel that I would be able to retain the joy and delight inherent in the vast majority of the story. I realized then what so many of us have realized since then, that it was his life, not his death, which affected us most deeply and which shaped many of us as personalities. With this second volume, Kelley's other fans, friends, and co-workers have been invited to share their unique reasons for believing that his legacy will extend far beyond those left by most actors, even though he didn't get the amount of press other actors received in life or in death. Good guys don't always finish last. DeForest Kelley was always a winner from day one. And now I'm going to read the introduction to the section of this book called DeForest Kelley Actor. Fans are undoubtedly familiar with Dee's portrayal as Dr. McCoy on the original iconic Star Trek television and motion picture series. This is probably the way most people today's fans became fans, watching him interact with the crew of the Starship Enterprise. As we all know, McCoy's on-again, off-again irascible tendencies covered a heart of pure gold that was sold out to his patients, to his mission, and to his crewmates. Yes, even Spock. There was no doubt about that. Time and again, he offered his life for theirs as they had for his. A television host in Colorado, a huge fan of Westerns, once regaled Dee and his Good Day Colorado audience with an almost word-for-word recreation of some of Dee's lines from Warlock, a better-than-most Western that starred Henry Fonda, Richard Widmark, and Anthony Quinn. Pretending to be Dee's character, Curly Byrne, in the movie, the host did a fast draw, then stopped short when he realized his opponent, Fonda, had outdrawn him. Much to Dee's delight, the host flailed helplessly as he backed down from the confrontation he had engendered, and then jumped to another aspect of the same scene. And just before that, when you're trying to goad him into the gunfight, you say, "Oh, them pearly handles of yours. They're enough to blind a man's eyes. You really ought to stop polishing them that way, por favor, the way you always do. Someone ought to just take them pearly handles from you and rough them up a bit, When the host finished his faithful rendition of the scene, Dee's eyes shone and his grin was as white as Colorado itself. He took a brief look into the studio audience, the largest audience for that particular show ever, filled as it was past capacity with Star Trek fans. I was there, imported from a Starland convention nearby, and he laughed. He told the show host, then pointed at his fans and said, "They know. If this wasn't a television show, I could tell you a story about that very scene." And he left it there. The show host undoubtedly asked for and received the rest of the story later. For those who haven't heard it, days before the scene was filmed, the director had told Dee that the Princess of Greece, Princess Sophia, would be on the soundstage the day he was scheduled to shoot the scene. Dee thought he was joking because this particular director had a dry sense of humor. I thought maybe he meant Sophia Loren. Sure enough, when the day arrived, a very real Princess Sophia and her large entourage gathered on the upper part of the stairway in the saloon where the filming of this scene was about to take place. The visitors to the set were out of camera range. At first, Dee recalled, I was very nervous. Not necessarily because the princess and her people were there, but because in this scene, I had to do a flyaway. That's a move with a gun where I flip it and it goes into my holster with any luck at all. And I had been practicing this move, but I was nowhere near certain I could get it on the first take or even the second. Henry Fonda was away that day. Tyrone Power had passed away the week before, and Fonda was at his funeral. So his lines were read to me. In this scene, I'm supposed to goad Honda into a fight. And when I do, his gun is out of the holster in a flash, and I realize I'm done for unless I back down. So I quickly, and as humbly as this hombre can, back down. I do the flyaway, and it goes in perfectly, a big relief to me. Then I started backing away with a little wave to Fonda toward the batwing doors, and this wasn't in the scene. I tripped backward over a chair. As I went over, I called out, "Oh, shit!" Well, you could have heard a pin drop. All of a sudden, I remember Princess Sophia and her people are standing on the staircase watching this whole thing. So I crawled out the batwing doors on my knees. And on the other side of the doors, the director looks down at me and says, "Dee, I'll bet you sat up all night trying to think of what to say in front of the Princess of Greece." As it turned out, Princess Sophia didn't know what that word meant. But when I went to the commissary for lunch that day, everyone stood up and applauded me. It was all over the lot what I had said in front of the princess. Okay, now you know about the outtake. Go and rent or buy the movie and see what Dee, a conscience-ridden bad guy hanging with the wrong crowd, does when confronted with the enormity of his gang's depravity. In a way, he becomes the hero of the motion picture, in my opinion. Enough said. Curly Byrne in Warlock was one of Dee's very few good-natured bad guys. Most of his portrayals were so cussedly ornery and demonic that he was often hired to snarl at the likes of Steve McQueen, Clint Eastwood, Audie Murphy, the Lone Ranger, and the Bonanza Boys. If you haven't seen his other portrayals, you are missing out on some of the best acting ever in Westerns. A top-notch and complete filmography of Dee's entire acting career can be found at this website that's in the book. Check it out. Rent some of the films at your local video store, and feast your eyes on actor DeForest Kelley. If you don't have internet access, ask a friend to download the site for you or visit a library to download it. Be forewarned, though. Before watching any of these Westerns, you may have to divorce yourself from any knowledge of Dr. McCoy, and that takes some doing, in order to truly appreciate his pre-McCoy portrayals. Remind yourself beforehand that McCoy had not yet been created, and that these cowboy portrayals were the rationale the network had for believing that Star Trek audiences would never buy DeForest Kelley as a good guy, which is why he wasn't in the first pilot of Star Trek. You will understand their concern after seeing him in these earlier roles. In my opinion, Dee deserved a Best Supporting Actor award for a number of his bad guy portrayals in motion pictures, among them as Toby Jack Saunders in Apache Uprising and as Wexler in The Law and Jake Wade. And a Best Supporting Actor television award wouldn't have hurt his role in the Honor of Cochise, a Bonanza episode. The fact that Dee's character bites the dust in so many of his Westerns, whether soon or later, just underscores that his scoundrels had to die, or the audiences would have gone home with nightmares, and the tales told, most of which were morality plays in disguise, would have fallen flat. Dee was asked at numerous conventions about how he managed to portray scoundrels so ably when he was obviously such a gentleman. He said, "When I was a boy growing up in Georgia, there was a sheriff who looked as though he couldn't wait to find someone stepping out of line so that he could shoot him. He just looked like a snake to me, coiled and ready to strike. He was one of the role models for some of the heavies I played. I figured if I could capture that sheriff's ominous aspects, my portrayal would be convincing." When Dee was in the hospital the last few months of his life, he related that one of his and Carolyn's best friends for over 60 years had told them years ago that she would never believe Dee in a bad guy role, and so that's why she had never gone to see him in one. When she said that, now I'm quoting here, he's talking to me. "When she said that, I became a bad guy right in front of her just to show her I could do it. Well, when I did, it scared her so badly that she started to cry. So I started to cry. I had to apologize. I wanted to convince her I was an actor, not scare her half to death. It was just awful." In Apache Uprising, an A.C. Lyles film, Dee portrayed a sociopath, Toby Jack Saunders, a man so void of decency and conscience that he exuded malevolence from every pore. The role haunted Dee even years later. He reflected, "I sat up half the night last night in the hospital thinking what a no-good son of a bitch Toby Jack was. In the script, he was supposed to ride into town when the town mongrel came out to wag a barking hello, I was supposed to pull out my gun and shoot him. Well, that was too much for me. I told AC I couldn't do that. I told him I would establish his character some other way. He did. I had a nightmare about that hombre after seeing Apache Uprising." Dee was one of very few actors in the late 40s and early 50s with a crossover career, working in motion pictures as well as in the new medium of television. For the most part, motion picture actors felt it was beneath them to work in television. As a struggling young actor, Dee wasn't allowed the luxury of that lofty an opinion of himself. His focus was on keeping a roof over his and Carolyn's heads. His list of credits from the 40s and 50s is mind-boggling. He appeared in over 100 different series episodes, as well as in 15 motion pictures, mostly as heavies, ne'er-do-wells, and scoundrels. Occasionally, he appeared in a role as a hapless fellow falsely accused of a crime. In motion pictures, Fear in the Night and Illegal, and in television, the Bonanza episode, The Decision. The despair, anger, or panic he showed in these portrayals was spot on. Viewers could vicariously experience this poor fellow's dilemma as we sweated for him, hoping against all hope that his innocence would be discovered before the executioner could do his fatal job. In the case of Illegal, our hope is dashed. Seconds after his execution, the truth is found out. Too late to save him. The consequences are agonizing for the star of the show, Edward G. Robinson, who suffers the tortures of the damned for the rest of the picture. Dee's role in this movie is small but pivotal. Another small but powerful role in Raintree County captures the attention of the audience as Dee, the only Southern soldier seen in the film in a seminal role, rides in on a horse and is felled by a bullet. For the next 10 minutes or so, Dee's unnamed character plays with Lee Marvin's mind in an attempt to get him to let down his guard long enough so that Dee can shoot him and escape to get help before he bleeds to death. The charm and easy attitude of Dee's character is utterly captivating. The audience begins to hope that these two enemies will bury the hatchet and strike some kind of mutually acceptable deal that will allow them both to survive the intersection of their lives as soldiers. Alas, it is not to be. And the men meet their end in a sudden showdown that is both a surprise and an outrageous obscenity to the audience. What a shame, we sigh, and then we realize the sentiment is the epilogue for the entire sorry history of the Civil War, in which men like these, with personalities and potential for greatness, fought and perished. These two men embody, in a palpable way, the obscenity of war. In other times, they would likely have been fast friends and would probably have been willing to lay down their lives for each other. Many of Dee's roles were small, but very few of them were insignificant. The power of his performances proves the adage, there are no small parts, only small actors. Anytime Dee appeared in anything, his character seemed to be the true north for that particular type of human soul. He got inside his characters and breathed life into them. His heavies were not cardboard characters. They were people largely unaware that they were deviating from a norm. They were simply responding to cards that had been dealt to them since childhood. Their stories and actions were made perfectly understandable given their wounded psyches, and no word of exposition had to be written to explain them. We just knew, because Dee the actor seemed to know. Dee made bad guys bad, but he also made some of them somehow pitiable, fearfully and wonderfully accessible. He allowed us to inhabit them as easily as we could the hero of the piece, not happily, not willingly, but with a sense of morbid curiosity, the way we examine mothers who drown their children, or Hitler or Ted Bundy, people who irrationally embarked on workable plans to carry out successive, horrible, deviant behaviors. We don't know how they got there, and we realize that if we understood them, we would be just as whacked out as they were. And yet we try to figure out their pathology as if figuring it out would make us safer. Okay, that was the intro that I wrote for the section called DeForest Kelley Actor, and after which a lot of the fans are introduced in the book, and they get to tell their stories about either how Dee's career infected and impacted their lives, or how meeting him infected or impacted their lives. Oh, and it is Christina. Found you. Love hearing all the stories. Oh, there we go. There's your mom. When I have a cold, there's nothing better for me than a cup of tea and a good story from a friend. I've heard about this story from other Trekkies. Oh, very cool. Love the princess story. Great stories. Okay. All right. I think we've got all of the comments taken care of for this moment. Oh, you and I were going to do something, aren't we, Hannah? Oh, you need to, I think you muted yourself.
My bad.
Okay.
Megan was singing, and I wasn't sure if anyone could hear her.
Oh, okay.
For those of you who don't know, I have a little sister who's special needs. She's not going to get quiet.
Which one of the, oh, we're going to do, Hannah has a little segment prepared here too. I'm going to go in here to Brand and put up some of these. Which one of these that we're going to do the dialogue on is the picture? Is it this one?
No, it's the two of them, but in a hallway.
In a hallway. In a hall.
He has like his surgeon scrubs on.
Okay, let me find it. This one?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so now let me turn on my phone again because it just went away. And we're going to read the dialogue that was supposed to happen during this thing that obviously went awry because they're laughing. Okay, McCoy, you're going to do McCoy, right? And I'm going to do Kirk?
Whichever.
Okay, it says Scott heads back for the transporter room. Kirk continues down the passageway alone. Camera draws ahead, and as Kirk reaches across passage, he almost collides with Dr. McCoy, who is just turning the corner.
I think we need a turn signal at this. What happened to you?
I don't know.
Looked like you ran into a wall.
On a vessel, they're called bulkheads, Doctor.
To you, a bulkhead. To me, a wall. Better lie down. I have someone waiting to be treated, then I'll come and check on you.
Okay. I don't even remember that interchange.
That's because it ended up being a deleted scene.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, hey, that's something I don't remember. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay. Unless we get some more comments, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to do this because this is my favorite thing of all time. And he'd be shaking his head at each one of these things that I'm going to show you now.
I have heard many things that's stupid.
And here we go.
I'm not going to say any of them on here, though.
Okay. These are images Hannah sent me. They're outtakes from...
Yeah, they're behind the scenes from a book called Star Trek Lost Scenes.
Lost Scenes. Oh-ho.
It's a bunch of deleted scenes, bloopers, behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't know why they specifically went with Lost Scenes.
And here we've got, I know this is from All Our Yesterdays because he's been misted for snow, for frostbite.
What happened was, however, they were making him look all, white and frostbited, or frostbitten, whatever. The makeup got in his mouth, so here he is trying to spit it out.
Trying to get rid of it. And here, obviously, they're just falling apart because of something funny.
I love how in the first one, it looks like it's mainly Leonard that's falling apart, but then as soon as he
does it, seeing Spock break up has to break everybody else up. I sure like to know what was going on here.
There's a couple of them where I want to know what was going on through his head.
There he's breaking up for some reason.
Yeah, they're both breaking up. I think that was the Cloud Miners episode.
It looks like it was, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he's trying to hold it together there.
Yes, yeah.
Jimmy, not so much.
Cat I have a cat called him the sexiest lower lip in the galaxy, and I actually I
think I remember that. Yeah.
I did a comedy routine and incorporated that name, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this, but I got his signature in wood. Made in wood. And then it says well, I guess if I could get rid of this, you could see it better.
This is one of those things I'm going to have to see when I get down, when I get over there.
It says DeForest. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. DeForest Kelly, the sexiest lower lip in the galaxy. There we go. Yes, there are many things you will see that I generally don't always. Whoops! I'm just throwing everything.
Oh no,
that's fine. That's fine.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Yeah. Okay, there's more of that.
I want to know. To me, that looks like such a strange, image. I kind of want to know what's going on through his head.
I think I'm not sure, but I think that's when he was doing his hands together and freezing outside of All Our Yesterdays, just before they got. Except there's no ice on him there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not it. And here we have another. Is that the same thing? Did I just show you that already? No.
No, I don't think you did.
Okay. This is
I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Is he trying to
He's looking very serious.
I'm wondering if something happened and he's trying to keep himself from breaking.
I don't know. I love this. Angels and ministers of grace defend us.
Please stop. Do me a favor. Don't say it's
This is one of my favorite images by illustrators. This is by
it looks just like him.
Steffi. Isn't it amazing? And I don't know how, it's so hard to get him right. I have this up on my wall. I just love this image so much. I guess I can get rid of that there banner now, can I?
Unless you want all of us emailing you.
That would work. My author center page, if you want to get that book that I just read from, it's called The Enduring Legacy of DeForest Kelley, or any of the other books. That's where you can go to get it. You can also just go to Amazon.com and type in Kris with a K, M. Smith, or Christine M. Smith. Either one will pop my books up there. Great stories. Yes, I got a yes from Jano, and I don't know about what. Yeah, Dr. McCoy finally got the last word. I didn't put that in. It's like you look at someone who is laughing, you try and keep it together, and then you start laughing. Exactly. Yeah. I saw that illustration on Google. I wonder if that was the Steffi one. Oh, I also want to show the one, I want to show the artwork that Reg did for me.
Yeah.
I think I've still got it on here. I don't. Not even up in the corner there. Well, I know.
It's okay.
I can get it real quick. Reg O'Connell, one of Hannah's friends, is an artist. Oh, I got to put this one
He
back.
did a little something for your birthday.
Yeah. Let me, oopsie. Let me go down here and say bye-bye to Dee. There you go.
Maybe he wanted to see it. Maybe try pulling it back closer to you.
It's that picture, huh? Hold it closer to me.
Maybe. Oh.
There
we go.
And I'll show you the actual. I think I'll show you the actual picture that he made it from. If I got it up here, of course I don't. Dee signed a thing to me, to Kris, the best mom cat I know, and Reggie changed it to the best dad cat I know. Yeah, that was the image, but that's not the one that's signed. Anyway, I just love this. I love it so much. Okay. We're back. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, we've been on here almost an hour already. Holy.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, here's another comment. Does anybody have any questions? The DeForest Kelley face. Yes. Dee's favorite picture. Yep, that's correct. That was Dee's favorite picture. That one, right. Although there are so many other ones I think are fabulous. Here's one of Dee and Carolyn and Deacon in my backyard. I love that photo so much. Dee and Carolyn actually put that photo, I think I've told this story before, in their Christmas card one year. And they have a large Christmas card, list. And they neglected to say who that was, what that was, where that was, what is that cat? And just about everybody said, where did you get that cat? Is that your cat? What is that? What kind of a cat animal is that? So she had to basically write them all back again and give them more. She says, never, ever, ever will I put Deacon picture in our.
No.
I went, oh.
Poor Carolyn.
Yeah, you got to remember, not everybody knows what you know. This is one of my favorite pictures of my serval son and me.
Aw.
Yeah. He was a darling.
He's just chilling.
He was a darling boy. And there's me going to Deacon.
Oh, I thought you said that was Dee going like that to Deacon.
No, that's me.
What?
No, that's me.
It doesn't look like he's doing anything.
No, he's not. It was me doing that. Let's see.
Did you do that to him often, or?
Yeah, usually I did that to get his attention.
Mm-hmm.
Oopsie. Okay, let's go. Got a comment? Wonderful cat. Yes, he was a wonderful cat. Had him for 17 and a quarter years from the time he was 5 days old. That's a wee one. And I will have to tell you another story about wee ones after the saga has ended, but I can't right now. Hannah knows the story, but I can't share it right now. See, there's a mystery. You'll have to keep checking in to find out what I'm talking about half the time. No. Any questions, guys? Come on. You want to, does anybody have any particular favorite excerpts from the books that you want me to read in the future? Not necessarily today, because I've been doing that enough today. But if you have any,
I really like the one that we were one of the ones we were talking about earlier that we agreed would have to wait.
Till October.
Yep.
Yes.
That one that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
But I also love Halloween, so
yes,
that could be why I could be a little biased.
In October, I will on both segments of October, I will have October-related anecdotes to share. So, but if there's anything of those of you who have read the book, if you can think of any particular anecdotes that you'd like me to read, because often it's fun to hear the author read the book because it's different than reading it yourself. Then let me know and I will be sure and include that. I got a bunch of places marked, but just because something's my favorite doesn't mean it's other people's favorites.
What about when you were telling Carolyn that he needs to, you might just have to paraphrase because I don't know what page it's on. You were telling Carolyn that he should go in his garage, pull stuff out.
Oh, yes, I know.
It's exactly. Like
oh my gosh.
Write a book.
TV Guide Antics. I do have that one. I don't know if you want me to read it today. And the security guards one. Did I read the security guards one before, guys? Most everybody who's here today already has heard all that. Did I read the security guards ones before? Let me know, because
we were talking about that, but we're not 100% sure.
That's here it is. Here's the TV Guide Annex one. I don't know where to stop on this one, but here we go. The July 24th, 1993 issue of TV Guide carried a large section in it about Star Trek. In the sidebar, what's Kirk's crew up to? The cast was profiled and interviewed briefly. The paragraph regarding Dee read as follows. DeForest Kelley, the star who's been most reluctant to milk Trek for all it's worth, is still waffling about his autobiography prospects. I'd want it to be richer, more encompassing, and maybe more novelistic than just the I thing, says Kelley, whose pre-TV career included such movie hits as Gunfight at the OK Corral. So what's the holdup? It would involve a tremendous amount of digging and research, sighs the 73-year-old Kelley, and I'd have to go out in the garage. On July 23rd, Carolyn called. I asked if she had seen the new TV Guide yet, and she exclaimed, "Oh, yes, we just got it yesterday." I directed her, "You tell Dee to go out into the garage and pull something out and go I, or we, but to do it." Carolyn turned to Dee right then and there and told him, "Dee, Kris says you're supposed to go out in the garage, pull something out, and go wee." I cackled loudly, and I nearly deafened her, protesting loudly, "That is not what I said," hoping Dee would hear me. I said, "Carolyn, straighten him out right now. Tell him I didn't say that. Carolyn, please tell him I didn't say that." I was mortified. Carolyn thought it was hysterical. After we had settled down, she mentioned that a noted Star Trek chronicler had called Dee sometime recently to try to get an okay to write a biography on him or to help him write his biography. And Dee had thanked him, but said no, he wasn't going to do one. I protested, "I wish he would. Can't you just get him to turn on a tape recorder when he feels like reminiscing?" She said, "Oh, he'd clam up right away if I did that." I said, "It's important." She didn't respond to that. So, yeah, that's about as far as I got about getting him to Oh, here's another funny thing that happened. On August 25th, Carolyn called to ask how I felt. I had been under the weather, so I quickly reassured her I was fine again. I asked how she was, and she said, "Oh, I'm fine, but Dee has a cold. He was dying yesterday, but he's better today." I heard Dee in the background joking, "Don't tell her I'm dying." Perhaps he thought I might report it in a newsletter. She said, "Dee caught the cold in Detroit last weekend after he got out of the shower in his shorts and stood watching television under air conditioning for a few minutes." Commenting on her sentence structure, I joked, "He got out of the shower in his underwear, in his shorts?" She laughed and said, "No, that wasn't how it happened." I said, "Oh, that's good." I was a little bit concerned for a minute there.
Every time I hear that story, about the he has a cold and all that, I remember that movie Brother Bear. Have you seen it?
No.
Well, there's this one scene where it's a bunch of these bears at a nice river. They've just had a bunch of fish. They're sitting in a circle or so, and they're passing around this story fish. So, if you catch the fish or something, this headless fish, you get to tell a story. One older bear catches it, and she's like, "This year, I lost my dear husband, Edgar." And you hear in the background, "Stop telling everyone I'm dead." And she's like, "I can still hear his voice." I think of that every time. He's dying. Don't tell her I'm dying.
Okay. I would love to see Dee on a comedy show. He absolutely had the absolute best sense of timing that there was. He did a play called Beginner's Luck, and the producer of that show, Phil Whalen, said he had the timing of Jack Benny, which is one of Hannah's favorites. He had the absolute timing of Jack Benny. He was absolutely a comic genius. You could see you could see some of that in Star Trek during his funny spots and funny moments. But yeah, he was really, really good. He could really nail it at that perfect, proper moment.
Dee had actually written somewhere in I guess for an interview or something while he was still doing Star Trek. They had the three main guys write their loves and their hates. Mm-hmm. And in one of them, he mentioned that sometimes he felt like a frustrated comedian at heart.
Yes. Yeah. He had a lot of comedy in him. Space Dancer says, "Do you think Deacon had a big part in you growing so close to the Kellys?" I think he had a part. Dee and Carolyn were both animal lovers. And one of the first photos I sent them when I reconnected with them after so many years apart was a picture of my home in Edenville and me and Deacon. And Carolyn commented on Deacon right away, so I could tell that she was really interested in Deacon, and I sent them follow-up images of Deacon. And when I moved to Southern California, under their encouragement to do so, they sent me a travel bag that had an African motif travel bag for Deacon's travel bag. So they loved Deacon before they ever met him. And it's still, I moved there in 89. I don't remember what month, but they didn't actually go up and get to meet him until about 1991, because he was up at Shambhala for a long time. And I think it was 8 months before Carolyn said, "Okay, we waited long enough. Take us up to Shambhala and meet Deacon." And I went up there. He went up there, and Deacon immediately fell for Carolyn because she had absolutely zero fear of him. She walked right up to him like a 2-year-old would do. And Deacon, as long as you approach Deacon with no fear, he was perfectly fine. But he was a big kitty. He was like knee high, say the size of a small Doberman Pinscher. And most people see a cat that big and they think, "Oh, yeah, I'd like to meet him, but I'm not sure." And they feel a little nervous about it. And those who felt nervous, he could feel their nerves, and that would make him hesitant. And then they get that fight or flight response thing going, and it was harder for people who were afraid to meet Deacon, because Deacon felt their fear and couldn't. He's like, "Why are you approaching me if you're afraid? Are you about to fight me?" because that's usually what happens in the wild. If something's approaching you and is afraid, it's the beginning of a fight. So anyhow, Carolyn had this instinctive, complete trust in Deacon, and Deacon knew that right away, and boom, it was like automatic for them. Deacon also wasn't exposed to that many men unless they were veterinarians at that point in his life. And so he was a little more hesitant to meet Dee because Dee was a guy and he was in a new place. You know, he was at Shambhala, at a place where he didn't feel terribly comfortable, and because there were lions all around. And I don't think Dee was 100% comfortable. Well, and the other thing was, as Dee came into the enclosure to meet Deacon hissed. Now, servals hiss good morning. They don't necessarily mean anything the way a domestic cat means when they hiss. A serval will hiss good morning. I mean, when Deacon would hiss at me, I just hiss right back at him. And then he'd headbutt me and love me, you know. So, but he hissed, and Dee stopped because, you know, out of respect, he stopped. And he said, oh, if he doesn't want to meet me, then, you know, I don't want to push him. And so I think that probably gave Dee a little bit of trepidation, like, do I really want, anyhow. However, as soon as I got him off the hill, as soon as he was away from Shambhala and back in my home, literally within 2 days of Deacon coming back to live with me, Dee and Carolyn both came over, and he just glommed onto them both. So I think it was that situation with Dee was a combination of the fact that he was in a strange place and, you know, with a strange person. Oh, I got to tell you another interesting thing about Dee and Deacon. When Tippi Hedren went off to the Florida to open the, or Kris or whatever, the Alfred Hitchcock Museum in Florida, she asked me if I would babysit, in quotes, Shambhala while she was gone. And I said I would. And she said, that's great, because that'll give you an opportunity. Go ahead and get Deacon out of his cage, bring him into the house, and live with him all weekend, you know, just like you do at home. So I said, awesome. And she took off, and I got Deacon, and we came into Tippi Hedren's house, and she had a couch that ran, she had a TV set and then a couch that kind of ran, I want to say 90-degree angle near the TV, 90-degree angle back from the TV. And Deacon was sleeping. Deacon had just met Dee and Carolyn up on the hill, okay, like 2 or 3 weeks before. And Deacon was sleeping on the couch, and I put on Star Trek V. And when Dee came on, looking through the binoculars, watching Kirk and Spock up on the Yosemite, climbing the hill, he went, yeah, playing games with that. As soon as Deacon heard his voice, he had been asleep. He put his head up and he looked, and he's like, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy, you know. And he went closer to the TV and sniffed, and since you couldn't get a whiff of him, he wasn't really there. It was and they went, huh, you know, and then he laid back down, and I thought, did I just imagine that? Seriously, did I just imagine that? So I replayed it. Deacon went back to sleep. I replayed it. He did it, and he did it again. And then he got nervous, and he actually got down from the thing. He got down from the couch.
Oh, no.
And I went, well, it's because he was there, but he wasn't there. And that made him nervous. You know, if I could sniff you and find out how you were feeling about me, that would be one thing, but I can't get any sense of how you're feeling. So he got down from the couch. I didn't tell Dee that part, that he got down from the couch, but I did tell him that he recognized him on the TV, and that blew him away. Yeah. I do think Deacon,
I'm autistic. I can never know what people are thinking.
Yeah. I think you do a pretty good job of figuring it out, don't
all the time. No,
do you ever mention? Yeah. Do you have to ask? Do you have to say? How do you navigate that? Do you say, "How are you feeling?" or
No, sometimes I'll just be like, I couldn't read your emotions. Are you upset? You know,
there you go,
or something like that. You know, get the explanation.
You've done that to me a time or two. You say, "Are you okay? Are you upset?" And that's just what I'm pondering, or
usually
something poignant.
Yeah, we usually do Facebook Messenger. And I'm like, if I can't read the emotions of someone right in front of me, how am I supposed to do that in a textual format?
Right.
Right. I had an audition once, and these people wanted me to read for 3 different parts, and they didn't give me any kind of subtext beforehand. So I'm reading this, and I have no idea what this character is supposed to be feeling.
Right.
For any of these, we got like 75% of the way through, and it finally hit me that this character is making fun of someone. Obviously, I did not get into that show, probably for that reason.
Right.
Because I couldn't read the stuff right.
Your mom just said, she says, "Mom, are you mad at me if she's not reading your emotions right?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did he ever get really hot in the Star Trek? He
didn't need the Star Trek uniform to be hot, John.
He never really mentioned that, but he did mention one thing in which his stunt double was asked to stand on the transporter beams. And apparently back then, when you were standing on the transporter, the lights coming up from the floor were really, really, really hot, which is why they had stand-ins. Anyhow, they were lighting the scene or whatever, and all of a sudden it was like, I don't know if they could smell rubber burning or whatever, but anyhow, Dee's stand-in, his shoes were literally melting on and Dee came pretty unglued, as unglued as Dee ever came, to anybody. He said, "You wouldn't do that to me. Don't do that to him." I mean, he just immediately stood up and said, no, you wouldn't do that to me. Don't do that to him.
I've heard like so many stories. I think that sounds like the angriest I'd ever heard.
Yeah. And I said it angrily. I'm not sure Dee said it angrily. He just immediately, he would have your back.
Did the guy get hurt or?
No, it just started to really, he started to get uncomfortable. It's hot under his feet, but no, he didn't. Yeah. And, so Dee was very adept at seeing. Oh, another time he came to me and he said, "I needed to straighten this thing out about you and the nurses." And I said, "What are you talking about?" In the hospital, obviously. He said, "I don't know. I just get the feeling that they're a little jealous that you're in here with me." And I went, "What do you mean by that?" I mean, because I thought anytime anybody's in helping, that frees them up to help other people, So and then I got to thinking, well, yeah, but with DeForest Kelley, first of all, he's such a delightful, wonderful patient. Maybe they could. Maybe they would rather be, maybe they felt that. But I never got into any indication that they felt anything but grateful that I was there. But he started to feel it, and he said, I'm going to straighten it out. And I went, okay, well, okay. And then the next day he came back. He said, no, everything's all right. They said you're very, very helpful, and they're glad you're here. But see, he noticed that, and I didn't get any sense of that ever. So he was very adept at trying to figure out, is everybody okay? Is everybody okay? Okay. Oh my goodness, that was really horrible with lights. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
I mean, it's one thing if it's an accident, but
right. Yeah. He was just very thoughtful. One time, I probably shouldn't tell this tale, but I will. One day, his next door neighbor told me this story, and the neighbor has since passed away. So I guess I'm not divulging anything horrible. But one day, Dee was over with his neighbor and his wife, and his wife, I don't know, ticked him off or something, the husband off, and Dawn said something unkind or short or impatient or something to her, responded to her, with impatience. And she left the room, and Dee said, "Don't do that to your wife." Woo! I mean, he would find something and, an issue, and like, don't do that to your wife. So, and I mean, I think in any human relations, people can get on each other's nerves, and stuff can happen. But when Dee saw it, it was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Which makes me realize what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful husband he must have been for Carolyn, who was so insecure in so many ways that he totally, totally understood her. And he was perfect for somebody like her because he could read what she needed and give it to her. And I think that would be, that almost qualifies him for sainthood in some cases, because 54 years of insecurity, that would be really, really hard, especially if you are an honorable person and you have somebody, questioning you or whatever, to continue.
Well, in my experience, this might not be like a real well-known fact, but in the Catholic Church, if you pass away and you go to heaven, you are considered a saint.
Uh-huh.
So, as long as he's there, he is a saint.
Right.
Canonized saints, they are the difference between being a regular saint and a canonized saint.
They have to
be recognized by the church, and you have to perform 3 miracles from people like asking you to pray for them. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Dee seemed like a great diffuser of tense situation. He was a peacemaker.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God.
Exactly. Very, very level-headed, kind. Even his jokes were not unkind. And if he had to say something critical, even critical, not critical, but as a critique, he always did it with such love. And several times on stage, they would say, I hear, Shatner's really, really hard to work with and get along with. And he said, and he would joke about it. He would say, first of all, the first thing he would say is, I love Dee. I love Bill. I love Bill. He would just shut it right down. And then he'd say, I've had to straighten his ass out a time or two, but I love him. So that kind of thing is, so he gave you a laugh, and he realized, everybody has issues, but I still love him. And that's what you want. You want people who can take you on your worst days and still say, I still love you. Yeah. That's unconditional love. That's what it's all about. Yeah. So anywho, I don't know if Tina's still with us because she's been feeling crummy. Everybody who is with us is on NDB Media now. So the people who were on Facebook either left or they came over to NDB Media. John Bowers talks again. John Bart says, I've heard so many stories about Dee. I never heard or saw even one bad thing about him. True. Absolutely. Absolutely. There was one young lady, I may have told this story before, when he was just a teenager. And back then, cancer was not as well understood as it is. And a lot of people thought if people had cancer, you might be able to catch it in one way or another. But when he was 18 or 19 years old, living in Long Beach, he and his little gang, his little squad of friends, were friends with a lady named Faye, who was dying of cancer, who found out she had cancer and she had just a few months to live. And most people back then was like, we better steer clear. We better not. And Dee said, absolutely not. We're going to give her the best 4 months anybody's ever had. If it's the last 4 months of her life, we're going to give her a wee of a time, essentially. And they all hung around and watched movies and whatever she could do still. They stayed with her and hung with her until she passed away. And I think that came from his upbringing as the son of a Baptist minister. And his mother was very, very, in tune to if somebody's sick or something, you don't run away from them. You stay and you minister. You help them get through it. And he was just absolutely like that way from the time he was a young boy. He was way more like his mother than he was like his father. His father said, when he wanted to become an actor, he said, you're going to go to hell if you become an actor. His father was really very cut and dry. You don't do certain things. Back then, 70 years ago, if women wore a dress, they were going to hell. If you danced, you were going to hell, that kind of stuff. So
probably would have loved my family. We're Catholic actors.
Yes, there you go. So
I've already been told I'm going to hell because I'm Catholic, so
oh,
yeah, might as well throw in the actor.
Did you ever see? That reminds me of the story in, I think it's Tom Sawyer, or is it Huckleberry Finn, where they're taking the enslaved Jim down the river to help him escape, so that he said he wanted to go up north and earn enough money to buy his wife and children. And now we're talking Mark Twain in the South. He grew up in the South, and Tom Sawyer's like, or Huckleberry Finn, I can't remember which of the two. He's absolutely self-talking to himself. He said, if I take him up the river, I am taking him away from somebody who owns him. I am breaking the law. I am doing this. I am doing this. But then he talks to himself and he says, but if I don't take him up the river, I'll feel worse than if I didn't take him up. If I don't take him up the river, I'll feel worse. He says, so, well, if I'm going to go to hell, I'm going to go to hell in the way where I could feel better about it. And he helped.
That is my biggest fear, going to hell.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, like you have a big chance of that, sweetheart. Okay, so here we go. Carol and Dee were really made for each other. Absolutely. Him taking such gentle care of her and her insecurities, and her being so supportive and totally devoted to his career. Absolutely. They were a wonderful couple. Yep. Yep. Oh, so Tina's still here.
Hey, Tina.
Feel better, feel better. All righty. I think that's about it. We've been on here for what?
Almost an hour and a half.
Wow. Well, if we are all wrapped up and everybody's not everybody's finished with comments and finished with questions. Oh, here we go. I can understand why his dad was against Dee becoming an actor. It's a tough career. Some people don't make it. He was worried that Dee was going to hell. He didn't worry about the toughness of a career. A preacher has a tough career. They were eating rabbits and opossums, you know. They didn't make much money back then. It's not like the televangelists these days where they're in mansions and stuff. It's a pauper's career usually. The reason his mom very much supported him, but yeah, I don't think that's why his dad was against Dee becoming an actor. He was sure it was just a surefire way to go, you know, to hell. Because back then actors had very, very, very bad reputations. Did you ever read the actor's prayer that was found in his wallet? Yes. Here I am in my dressing room. This is our secret. You know, I'm, you know, keep my heart devoted to you. Acting is it's a tough situation, and you're exposed to so much temptation. Just let me stay true to you, stay true to you, stay true to you. And it's by Frank Crane. If you want to look it up, it's called The Actor's Prayer. And he had that in his wallet, and he had opened it and closed it so many times that the creases were coming apart in some places. And his mother sent that to him as a blessing and an encouragement when he did decide, I'm going to be an actor. I don't care what dad thinks. This is what I want to do. And he fell into acting. You know, he didn't go to California to become an actor. He just went to California to stay with his uncle for a summer, and ended up loving it so much he wanted to stay there. And then he fell into acting. He was lying on a beach one day, and Ron Hawk, a talent scout, came by and said, "You're a good-looking guy. Would you like to be an actor?" And Dee said, "Yes, sir," in this thick Southern accent. And Ron Hawk said, "Well, we're going to have to do something about your accent, but you could make it." And then he told him to start acting locally. And that's where he met Carolyn at the Long Beach Theater Group. And that's where he started his acting career as an 18 or 20-year-old and started studying it. So he fell into acting, and he felt very, very lucky that it turned out, even though he worked his butt off for so many years, to become a so-called overnight sensation with Star Trek. But he worked really, really hard and had many scant meals and worrying about keeping the roof over their heads until Star Trek came. That was the first time in his career he had a job for 3 years running. Other than that, it's hit and miss. You got 12 weeks here, you got 2 weeks here, you got a week and a half here, and you had to keep piecemealing it together. It's not a regular job. It's something you have to be willing to go into audition after audition after audition and be told, no, you're not right. No, you're not right. You have to be able to face rejection left and right and not take it personally. And not too many people can do that. You have to really, really believe. You have to have a passion for what you're doing in order to same with writing. You have to have a passion to do that, or you don't succeed at it, because there's so many times you can just say, you know what, this is too hard. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go get, in quotes, a real job, a 9-to-5 job. So, yeah. Any more? I guess we'll tie it up for this time then. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us. Again, if you think of any excerpts from any of the books, it doesn't have to be the D books necessarily, except most people who are here are D people. So let me know, and I'll make it a point to read whatever excerpt you want me to that are your favorites. And Hannah, thank you again. You are so awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for continually having me.
Dr. Crusher. You do. Yep. And so we'll say goodbye for this time. The next one is in 2 weeks at 10:30. So 2 weeks is the 30th. Yep. And we will. Did somebody else I just heard something go ding. Oh, that was my phone. Okay. So I will say goodbye. Hannah, say goodbye.
Bye.
And we'll stay on for a minute with each other after I sign off for sure. Please share this with anybody else who you think would enjoy it, and put it on your Facebook page. Put the link on your Facebook page and say, hey, are there any DeForest Kelley fans out there? I think you'll find this enjoyable, and make it happen. Let's let more people know about it. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Bye. From Russia and Austria and UK. Oh, Janet Wicks is not here today. UK, Canada. I mean, we've got an international audience here, and we're both very, very.
Space Dancer and Tina, feel better.
Yeah. Please do. Okay. Bye-bye. See you next time. Bye-bye.